Osu is a famous PC-based rhythm game that is oftentimes associated with otaku and anime culture. In fact, many, including myself, initially come to the game with an interest in either improving their aim in some kind of FPS game or simply to enjoy the weeb beats. I have always been less than quick to pick up skill in video games of any description, despite growing up with them. So, when me and some friends picked up Osu together, you could imagine that more times than not, I was on the bottom of every multiplayer scoreboard. Similarly to other aspects in my life in the past, be it basketball, snowboarding, or Counter-Strike, I decided that I did not want to be the worst player in my group anymore, so I had one goal in mind: improvement. Little did I know that this would set me down a long path of trial and error, one which has taught me much about improvement not only in OS but in general too. At first, I watched videos about improvement in Osu and got a general understanding for the game, soon after discovering the performance points or PP system. To me, this system was a way in which to easily distinguish who the best players between my friends were. I would spend days playing maps with the sole intention of gaining PP in order to overtake my friends. However, I was not having fun doing so. Seemingly right off the bat getting into the game, I set myself up to play in a way that was not enjoyable for myself. And sure, I'd overtaken my friends in score, however putting in many more hours than they did, but for some reason I was still barely able to make it off the bottom leaderboard spot. Furthermore, a friend I started playing with and only had half the time in game that I did was able to play more technically challenging maps, while I was stuck playing this. To me, the visible difference in skill was painful. I had more performance points, more time in game, so why could I not even get close to achieving what he had achieved? Was there some gift that he had that I didn't? An affiliation for clicking circles? My friend's pass on Cycle Hit would set me up for a long and bumpy ride in Osu-based trauma. I knew that I wanted to pass this map. After all, the song was amazing in sound and the map design was nothing short of fun and interesting. So I took to the game the same way that had worked for me in the past: grind. Only this time, it didn't show results. Almost 5 months passed and 470 attempts into the map before I was finally able to pass. Now, why did it take me so long? I actually have an answer: bad practice. When initially deciding this was something I wanted to be able to pass, I jumped at the challenge and began attempting a map I literally had no similar experience trying to pass. As previously, I was attempting maps that gave me as many points as easily as possible. Over the coming months, I would discover the less rewarding but infinitely skill-increasing technical aspect of the game, in which I developed a good foothold for. Nothing amazing, however, I definitely possessed the skill required to pass Cycle Hit. At this point, the issue was that I had tried and failed Cycle Hit so many times that I had psychologically tricked myself into believing it was impossible for me to pass the map. Any attempts that got close had insane shake from nerves. This should never happen when doing something you're doing for fun. It's okay to be excited, but to feel anxious to the point of physical sickness and mentally beating on your own self-worth to the point of not feeling good enough in anything anymore, even outside of the game, is never okay. I would often turn to Discord after discovering another popular rhythm game, Beat Saber, and ask my friends, why is it that I can improve so quickly in this but not in OS? To which one of them replied, it's because none of us play Beat Saber, and so you have no one to compare yourself with and are just having fun. As a side note, after my first pass on Cycle Hit, it would still be many attempts before I could get over my mind block. With many more failed attempts, I was finally able to consistently beat the map by rotating my monitor and tablet, indicating that I had the skill for the patterns and tech, but I only needed to change my perspective in order to overcome this mental hurdle. On my journey trying to pass this map, I discovered a YouTube channel called FrenZ, who is an Osu YouTuber who makes helpful and informative videos. I highly recommend you check him out if you like this game. FrenZ and his video on mental health and mental performance, link in description, really helped me get a perspective on what I could be doing to enjoy the game and improve at a faster rate. These tips are what I think enabled me to let go of my expectations to perform as well as my friend, who has an entirely different set of skills and progression rates from my own, and focus on enjoying the music and songs I'm playing. Upon trying this, I discovered that I had skills in the game that he would not be able to compete with, such as ult and finger control. This realization that I am my own player and can enjoy the same game in different ways allowed me to redirect my focus towards progression in areas that I found much more interesting. What's more crazy is that after all that pressure I'd put on myself, all the harsh self-criticism, I'd realized that I was improving faster and becoming much more consistent now that I'd let go of all of that. Instead of being jealous that I couldn't match my friend's performance in certain maps, I was able to be amazed and inspired to learn those skills. Rather than being harsh on myself for not performing well or missing one note on a hard song, I was able to look fondly upon what I had accomplished in a session rather than upset that I'd missed one or two things I wanted to achieve. Now, that's all good and well, but how, I hear you asking, does this translate into real-life practice? How on earth does progressing my ability to click on circles to the beat of a song reflect any sort of real life understanding of progressing in school, work, or relationships? Well, a lot actually. I learned through this game that being honest with yourself and your desires and the ability to set realistic goals for yourself will help you improve in more ways than just mere perceived improvement. Feeling pressure to perform the same or better than someone else is never helpful, as everybody is different and has different skills and abilities. When I first truly understood this, I applied this mindset to the way that I studied, with a focus on creating enjoyable study methods and developing things that I'm already good at, which in turn helped me improve in other aspects of my schooling due to routine and healthy study habits. Furthermore, this game has forced me to assess why it is I play in the first place. Before PP mattered to me, I played just to enjoy the songs that I love in a different way. And I think that's the most valuable thing to take away here. We as players and people need to use brutal honesty in order to align our goals with our purpose. What do I mean by this? Well, the reason we start playing a game is usually to have fun. This would be considered your honest purpose. So ask yourself, is the way I play reflective of this goal? Or am I just playing in order to fulfill some pressure that is external to that goal? Okay, as an example, am I playing Osu just to gain PP in order to appear like a better player? Or am I playing the songs because I genuinely enjoy the challenge that the said map presents? Or in day-to-day life, am I taking this university course because I am actually genuinely interested in the content, or because of the social and ideological pressures that are placed on me to complete the said course? Another example, am I speaking to this person because I really like them as a friend or partner? Or am I falling subject to the social pressures of staying a loner and an introvert? Some may rebuttal that, of course, Osu is just a game. How could that be nearly as important as bigger parts of our lives? Well, I ask you this. If the purpose of playing a game is to get enjoyment from it in the way that we see the most fit, how is that any different from living life under someone else's or society's commonly perceived values? The time that we have on this floating rock called Earth is precious and shouldn't be spent worrying about having to do something because other people think we should, but rather wanting to do it because it would be fulfilling to you. By asking yourself honestly, what is it I truly want, and not making excuses as to why that's not possible, you will find the path to success is suddenly illuminated, even if it does deviate from society's ideologies. Now, some of you may be in a position where you feel as though playing for performance is the very reason it's fun. This can be in relation to OS or otherwise. And sure, achieving a new score will always be an adrenaline rush, but is it worth it if most of the time is spent failing to get there? Is that degree worth it if you spend every second studying in pain? Is that paycheck really worth it if you have to dread Mondays and look forward to weekends week in and week out? The payoff is nice for sure, but we spend 99% of our time doing that task and only 1% achieving that dopamine release. Now that said, I do not think because of this the correct solution is to quit entirely. If that were the case, no one would ever feel the need to complete anything that is hard. It's not the correct solution to quit a job because it's hard or not perfect. Everyone has days in which they don't like the work they're doing, or feel some external pressure which may make the activity unenjoyable. However, the ability to step back and look at the situation while trying to reassess the mindset at which you approach any given task can be infinitely helpful in improving overall satisfaction one can feel from their situation. FrenZ gave a great example in his video.
1. How about changing "I'm bad" to "I'm not very good"? "I'm not improving" to "Can you give me some tips? I need help improving." And "I'm never going to set that score" to "I'm not capable of doing that right now, but perhaps in the future." Every one of these modified statements includes something positive, or at least an aspiration to be positive instead of being completely negative.
Inversely, streamer Beastrol MC said,
Osu is a mental game, alright? It is all about mentality, alright? There's a reason why when you pop the fuck off, you have no idea what the fuck is going on, but you're setting scores like crazy, dude. You start to realize, wait a second, I'm going God mode. That's a mental thing, alright? It's all in your brain, alright? So the thing is, you need to condition yourself to actually believe in yourself, because when you realize, wait a second, I'm in a plateau, now that you believe that you're in the plateau, it's going to be even harder for you to get.
Examples in day-to-day situations can mostly include the way you assess situations, or perhaps more importantly, assess yourself. Far too often, I hear people discourage or put themselves down in small but significant ways, saying, sorry, I'm stupid, or I'm getting fat, or even as harsh as, I'm a fat emotional person. These are all examples that people have said to me within the previous 24 hours of typing the script. The issue with this mindset is that this promotes an identity which is the opposite of what you want to achieve. Instead of, sorry, I'm stupid for some insignificant comment made during conversation, try, oh, I'm glad I know that now. Instead of, I'm getting fat, perhaps try, I'm happy I'm still in shape and want to maintain that form. Rather than outright bullying yourself with, I'm a fat emotional person, change the way of thinking to, I'm able to take steps to improve myself and this is enjoyable for me. Being able to regularly catch yourself out for being harsh on yourself and physically saying or even just thinking of situations from a more optimistic perspective is something that will lead to a snowball effect in progression. When I personally started this conscious redirection of thought, I redirected my thought from what if I miss to I can and will full combo this map. However, this can be dangerous for the simple fact that it sets up an expectation that you have to FC, which can lead to quick disappointment. Be sure when making these mindset changes to always be conscious of setting realistic affirmations. A better example of the aforementioned could be, I'm always improving with every run, which is true whether the progress is visible or not. So, what did O's teach us today? Well, firstly, improvement is best achieved when not comparing yourself to others and focusing on what you as an individual are like. What are your strengths? What are your weaknesses? How can you improve on both of those? Secondly, your ability to improve and become truly great at any given craft relies heavily on your ability to actually enjoy what you're doing. However, most importantly, Osu has taught us that if you're not enjoying your time spent on any given focus, it's worth stepping away from that focus and reassessing if you're approaching the activity with a healthy mindset. And, by extension, what could be done to rectify any issues with an unoptimistic mindset.
If you say that getting the money is the most important thing, you will spend your life completely wasting your time. You'll be doing things you don't like doing in order to go on living, that is, to go on doing things you don't like doing, which is stupid. Better to have a short life that is full of what you like doing than a long life spent in a miserable way. And so, therefore, it's so important to consider this question: what do I desire?